Pink Cloud 57, as I'm gonna cantankerously bring back again and again. This whole thing really has little to do with what's happening in life, because the atmosphere of what's happening around the world is pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Terrorist, nylon thoughts, everything going around in circles. So easy to just demean everybody's quality by that. Because at the end of the day, we can rely on the future and say that all these necessary evils have to happen. But the thing is, by the end of it, humans will be valueless. We're more valued right now, and if we don't keep ourselves in contact with that, there'll be nothing left to be valued for. It's a shoestring. You know, if we don't tie it, if we don't tie that knot, no controls, no weapons. You gotta be cavemen about it. If you feel discouraged, if you feel like you need to fight, fight will happen. But if you feel like you need to be something else other than that, ego, pride, whatever you have inside, that's not much of an emotion. It's an act of humiliation, really. An act of humiliation. War and what causes it are not traditions. But they have been. They sure look like they have been, don't they? War looks like a little tradition. All wars end in the winner writing the new rules for the place that they fought over. And I think that's what really it is. It's the idea of a brief moment of weakness almost. And what happened with Japan? New constitution written for it after the end of World War II. And I think that's what really happens. That's the act of humiliation right there. When we give our lives, whatever country we're in, then the tradition dies. The traditions die. Are you willing to let go of these traditions? Well, you were born with them, and bred with them, grown up with them, everything assembled about them. But what's more important? You, or the traditions that possibly give you a genuflection of nothing in life? Santa Claus ever do something personally for you to create your personality or character? Thanksgiving? Easter Bunny? Jesucristo? Nothing. The demeaning and devaluing of everything is happening pretty quick through the act of humiliation. But the act of humiliation doesn't just interact with just war. That's the thing about this stuff. The insecurities around us and insecurity inside of us is going to hurt us more inside as citizens of a country than it ever will outside of our country. Than it ever will from something else that comes out like a violent task inside our means or outside our means of support. Because support is not support after a while. Especially if your insecurity allows somebody else to give you security. It won't be support for a long time. As it's pretty clear that that's what you want. You know, if you needed something else in life, you would not be insecure. There'd be something else you wanted. Him or her. It's pretty simple. You could be drastically devaluing every single thing around you, saying that somebody matters and somebody else doesn't matter. You could judge it, criticize it, be cynical about it, be sarcastic about it like Jon Stewart on Daily Show. You could use any means. Because the main reason the Roman Empire and any other empire that fell, I mean, it's pretty easy to blame the system. Not to say I like the system. Not a fan. But I'm not a fan of any system that's been created in this huge world atmosphere of civilizations ever. Not a fan of any of them. Except cavemen. Big fan of those. That's not un-American at all. Because I love cavemen. I graduated and became a caveman myself. But if this is un-American, thank you so much. Because there's no patriotism that's above humans. We created that image, though. As I'm sitting here right now, talking to you in the pink cloud, We've created that image of what's better and what's worse, and this is it, and this hurts. If you want to create the rules only, you don't really want to be a part of somebody's life. You don't really want to accept their terms of who they are as humans. You want to just write the rules for them. Same thing really with the Constitution. You can go back to that. But difference is, our system shifted and we accepted it. We accepted every single term of all the powers that be, to take away the powers that we seek. We already had the freedom. We let it be taken away. The freedoms that we honestly have for a few drops in the sand of protection. People are still dying. You know, the numbers are minimal compared to the ones that happen daily. An attack? How many people died? A lot of other people have died recently too. I'm not calling a stroke of genius, a stroke of empire, a stroke of literalism. No. I'm not going to point it by the numbers and say this is the realistic term. I'm not going to point it by the eastern side and say this is the realism. I could show you through it. Can't show you realism if you love materialism that much. If you love money that much, there's no realism that would ever shift your attitude. There's no realistic image I could show you that could ever shift your attitude. You'd always feel that way. You've given up your own individual rights by doing that. By spiking the ball and saying, I got it all. Then you got it all. Leave me alone. But you don't. You don't leave me alone. You consider it that you are better than me and use it against me. What a wonderful person you are. Friendly citizen of this country. And man has this thing of abundance throughout life, throughout the Eastern world and the Western world, the Northern world and the Southern world. They're all the same. Every single place. This planet Earth ain't much, just a piece of dust. And the dust settles. The dust also goes over the place, just like Egypt. And that's what's going to happen to us and all the rest of the world. Now, congratulations to the ones that survive, that won't. But it's mostly because they've decided to give up those things too, on their own, as individuals. You know, what destroyed the people? The people. The people's apathy, the people's misanthropy. That destroyed them. It wasn't anything else. If you don't have anything to care about, you don't care about yourself. You don't care what happens to yourself. You don't care what anybody else does with yourselves. But if you don't care, no one else can care for you. Especially if you don't care before you get to somebody who does care. They won't care about you because you don't. Too late. If you're going to give up on yourself, everyone else is going to give up on you. Let's say you find the true love of your life through that means of going through the hardship in that time. And that person can't care about you. You have to. Your negative thoughts won't get you through. I'm in the middle of nowhere in my life right now. Seeing this dark cloud of life, civilization, and society. Societal terms of morality. That supposedly is morality, but in reality it's the death of all humans. You can kill people by threatening them with fear and hope. A lot worse than you could with a bomb or a gun. That's the thing that could kill a civilization and society. Hardly a weapon could ever do that. Biggest weapon we got is the trap of the entertainment. Well, I'm skewed to believe that I have anything else to breathe through my mouth. It's not true. The country can make it go down south for the invasions of our own sustainability. I don't need sustainability. I just need my own abilities. If there's things that are going to screw me up or mess anybody up. If they want to give away their freedoms for the security and assurance that they won't die, then they'll die. Then I'll die. If I give up my own assurances and security for more security from somebody else, I'll die too. I just died right there by doing that. Not with ego, not with pride. Because I'm giving myself to somebody else and trust that they won't use their ego and pride and infatuation of their personal life to hurt me. They'll protect me with that personal life of theirs. That's a big security right there, to trust that. No, thank you. If I fail and get beaten up, cowardly move, so on and so forth, from somebody else, it happens. 8th grade it happened. Nothing to worry about, nothing to fret about. Just walk away, close my mouth. But it's not going to count for anything if somebody else carries my security and assurance. Because then I'll always be roped to them. No thanks. I don't hang myself with my own rope. Don't even use a rope. Only ropes I used as a kid, tying on objects and making my mom go, untie all this. Most people think their country and themselves in the right, So even when helping other countries build up after a war, creating a new frame of that society is all around the reasoning. There's the reasoning for it. Well, this was why we had this war. There's this reason and logic that we all create about things. The problem is we create it so much for things that are so brutal. We don't actually create reason and logic to get away from the brutality. We actually help create more brutality by giving reason and logic for it. So when we look at the kind of things that are happening in the world right now, we never blame ourselves. We just say it's separate from us, Blame it on the terrorist. We bring up a word like terrorist when terror is actually a tactic, not a person. And we just use that so we don't have to blame ourselves. We don't have to blame the society and civilization of this world. We blame it on religion. We blame it on, something else, that it can't be us. It can't be us. It can't be what we're doing here. We're trying to do something right. That's how deeply people embed themselves into what they're doing to people. On top of that, there may be other people who do it on purpose, though. So you may be thinking, hey, I'm doing the right thing. But what about the person above you? They are? If they are? If they are? You don't know. You don't know where it's coming from, but you do think you're doing right. And I think that's the thing about it, that people think in the right. Even when helping other countries build up after a war, we're still in the right. We're still in the right. We tried our best. We tried our best. First off, if you tried your best, it's not about trying your best at that point. You tried your best to what? To not kill everybody? Well, congratulations, but that's not much of a, I think logic and reason is our kind of complement to shatter ourselves from the feelings, emotions, sensitivities that come around us. Because a lot of people say, gotta be careful with emotions. But the thing is, you only gotta be careful with emotions if you're gonna be hurting people a lot. I don't have to be careful because never hurt anybody like that, in that way. I've hurt people, and I've been responsible for my failures in friendships and relationships, and I've known them so. I've known them so. You think I wanted them gone? Every single one? Oh yes, that's exactly what I wanted, right here, right now, that's all I wanted. Them gone. Yeah, that's your identity of it. As such, the appearance is so important, but the appearance is nothing. It's all in here. It's all from this vocabulary of death, king. I have no fear of love, therefore I have no fear of death. But right here with war, with the act of humiliation, with building up things and trying to make ourselves feel right with reason and logic, right there, you have fear of love. You have fear of death. You're going down that same river of stone, toils, and you have your blood boil over every little thing. But your mistake is that you're discounting all the validity of what those little things mean by being upset about them. That's what you carry your whole life. A huge, huge stick that you try to hide with silence. But you can't hide your violence. You can't hide what you're going to hurt people with. How you're going to hurt people. Your disguise is so clear. Your object of intimidation, there you go. You have nothing else to live for. You're just an intimidation method. If you were an actual human being, I could consider you as such. But if all you are is the way you speak, what you have inside of me, with your thoughts of what you want to push at me aggressively, you have nothing above me or below me. You're not. You're just an object, really. You know, like a light I turn on in my room. Sadly, if you want something, if you want to be treated better, you have to treat yourself not as such. Not like a brazen bull. Because that's exactly how our society works. If we build, we get put into the brazen bull and boil first. We're cooked up first and killed. Like the brazen bull. Hey, he built it himself for the emperor, for the king there. Same thing we're doing. We're building the brazen bull. Yikes. Not a nice story to tell. Most people think they're in the right. I'm in the wrong, and I know it. It's because humiliation, fear, and hope all exist, just as does math, science, and religion, all forms of controls. They are. They literally are. Every single term of these 6 things have been for control. In any form. They've either tried to curtail and give you an understanding of what life is, to their definition, or they've been used as salvation for the people. Which is, an even greater thing. You either use it to harbor defense, or you use it to show this is the Savior right here. Well, right there, you shouldn't be close to it then. If it can be both things, it's not both things. That's the thing about a lot of this stuff. A lot of people say, I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. You truly do? Then you should see past that kind of thing right there. And you don't. You believe it. If you personally believe in Jesus and any of that stuff with the religion, anywhere in the whole world, Allah, whatever, you would see past the worshipping apocalypse that is happening. As such. If you don't want to, or if you're afraid, first off, you're not supposed to have fear of anything except God if you want to. So literally, by you having fear of this, you're never going to be worshiping God at any point in your life. You're going to be worshiping something else, the iron fist. As such. Consider it though. At least you can worship something the right way. And I'm sure the devil is pleased. I'm sure whoever dreamed up this idea of Middle East fight, Albert Pike, we don't need any other kind of vengeance call. We have our vengeance call. And the devil informed it into us. And it's so easy to just intimidate. So it's easy road. Easy road for you. Easy way out. Hey, hop, skip, and a dash. Then you just go get your cash. It's so easy, right? Well, the material world was built around us, right? We have to accept that term. Well, it was built around us because we let it be built too. We allow it to be in that kind of recognition of power. We allow math and science and religion to devour our souls with what it creates for us, which is nothing. All it's created for us is the same thing. Whether or not religion and math and science, distance from each other, they're all colliding in the same way. They have nothing separate about themselves. End goal is the same. And just as much as humiliation, fear, and hope. Humiliation? Humiliate me. Good. You can't humiliate a person that doesn't feel humiliated when you do it. I don't. Try to humiliate me. You'll fail. Because I don't feel humiliated. I feel humiliated to be a human on this earth with all these people that don't be themselves. I feel humiliated that I have to consider myself a character and personality and no one else does. So what humiliation can you do to make me feel any more humiliated? I feel you are all humiliated because you can't be yourselves. You live in hope and fear so deeply embedded inside your heart and soul. But truth be told, none of this stuff is going to change with hope and fear. Never has. Why do you think more of it is going on? In general terms. War, anything else you wanted to call it. The only reason it's going on is because of you. Because you rely on the hope and fear to protect you. When all it does is instigate more actions of such disgust. The right is rain attitude. That would be a punch in the line, because that's what it is. There's no right as rain in all this. It's just getting punched in a lineup. It's like obedience and integration. Both of them are really superficial ideas. In literal terms. and are kept to instill a very close dedication to whomever pleases to be a slave owner. Slavery is an interrupted philosophy that we believe has gone away. It hasn't. Literally, it's about power and control, not about living for yourself. Even if we are dependent on others, it doesn't mean much if we are not ourselves. And that's the one thing that I've kind of seen within families. Within the general context of an individual person in a family, we do have that obedience and integration attitude. And that's the one thing that actually makes us, in a huge way, very different from a lot of different things. And actually makes more animals independent on their own, even with the families and being close to them. Like, we can always look at and say that, the father, the mother, stuff like that always helps us grow, always helps us to be more independent. But you can't pretty much make your kid independent by saying they're not. Or by hating them for not being independent. Or for not liking that they're dependent on you. And if they're dependent on you, they have to believe everything that you do. That's not making somebody independent. Our individual philosophies, our individual lives has to be aspired to as a condition to understand. So if somebody says that, if your mom, your grandma, your dad, whoever, ever says to you that, I don't like your attitude towards this, you have to integrate, you have to have obedience here. One rule. That's fine. Inside certain terms, that's great. But if it has to do with changing your philosophy, how you think about things, not much of a family there. Not somebody who conceals no objective in my life. Personally, myself, I don't see any reason to not be yourself. No matter how much somebody else tells you have to integrate with the world. I can't integrate with this world. Look at all the war. How am I supposed to integrate with it? You want me to go kill? No thanks. Not going to integrate then. Want me to go kill? Want me to go to war with them? No thank you. To me, it's not about coexistence. It's about acceptance. But if you don't want to accept, no one else can. Because when a country asks you, as with 2002 or 2001, I believe, when a country asks you to bring evidence to the table of Osama bin Laden being connected to 9/11, and you say no, you don't have a good start of a relationship with that country. Because that's why I personally don't believe a lot of this nonsense too. If you have evidence, you bring it to the table. You bring it to the table as much. And if you don't want to, if you want to use your ego and pride, and the pride of yourself and the pride of your country, supposedly, but that's just pride of yourself. No matter how much you say it's pride of your country, it's never pride of your country. It's always pride of yourself, because you're the one speaking for your country. The land doesn't get up and say, I won't accept this demand. The sand doesn't do that. You do that. Pride is not built from the land. It's built from you. And it certainly ain't good pride. Not the pride that I want, even. But it's a nice ideal. It's just impossible. I'm sure the earth, if it got up, it would say, if you try to start anything with these other countries, no thanks. I don't think it'd be glad to hear that more land is going to be bombed. Yes, I'm sure the earth feels good about that right there. Oh, fine, no problem there. I'm sure Mother Earth will have no problem with that. And I think that's where we get this obedience and integration method. It's very easy, Hey, be obedient, integrate, simple method, But they are superficial. They are. The main reason that shows they're superficial is that you can't be yourself, and which I've seen with a lot of people who are just obedient and integrating. If you can't be yourself, it's a very superficial quality. It's just about appearance. That's the same reason why, yes, I talk a lot. I'll say that. And if I find somebody in a relationship later on in life who likes talking a lot, that's great. But to be honest, it's about somebody wanting to be with me. So let's skip all those steps of pre-requests and just say that. I would say yes if the person truly wants to be with me. Now, if they do not, no matter how much we connect in certain ways, if they don't want to be with me, it ain't gonna happen. Square down the line, baby. And, if it's because there's a superficial mentality of obedience and integration in herself, there's a superficial appearance look at at me and saying, oh no, thank you. When the six-pack's bod, then you got to go to that. And I think that's the thing about it, that we create a clouded image of what a person should be in a relationship. They should protect me. They should fight for me. How about they should love you? How about they should love me? Shouldn't that be a huge thing right there? They should want to be with me. Because how many of those people do you see? I'm a literal fall. And I have no other thing to dedicate myself to. Dedicate myself to you guys. That lesson. But it's okay, If you want to accept slavery in these terms, the way the world has, it's great, No problem, I'm not being sarcastic there, not being cynical, no. If you like it, you like it. No one else can change your mind now, And it may have come from the digitized space of a classroom. It may have come from the computer screen. It may have come from the TV screen. It may have come from anywhere you damn want to. From your family growing up and telling you, be careful. Or telling you, think like this. Or just chit to chat, and everything that you talk about and rat. It may have come from every single method you could think of. But all those methods lead to the same thing. It extinguishes your fire of passion. Distribute your action for somebody else's life, for somebody else that speaks to you about your life and says this is the obedience and the kind of thing that you have to do for the traditional aspect of life to continue. No thanks. It's the old joke of the people saying that they want to live in the old traditions. I mean, I guess you could say that's the Republicans. They want to live in the old traditions, but they accept all the new technologies. Well, the traditions are going to die. You've accepted all the new technologies. You've accepted everything that's going to change things. No traditions are going to stay. The lying morality of people is that they live in one and destroy the other. They live in one and destroy the other. They live in one and destroy the other. I don't do either. I'm another. And I think that's the thing about it. I'm not dependent on this system. Even though I am. Even though I have to be. It doesn't feel like it's a part of me. That's the thing about it. When I pay my bill, I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. When I get my money, my check, I don't feel like I'm accomplishing anything. All this stuff is just integration and obedience. That's all it is. It's nothing else. There's nothing else in it. There's nothing else, that's creating my life in it. Just be honest there. It's the truth. Every single thing else we can just make fun of. We can always say sarcastic quims and cynical jerk-off sentences that make sense. But they don't. They're just another reason to accept the implied. And I think that's what really shakes up a lot of people. Is that we always try to invent things to make ourselves better. Whether or not it actually does is not really good. This is the stuff that really breaks us down, I think. It is because, all we have is who we are. And all hands are the wrong hands. Or the right and wrong hands. Or the right and wrong hands. Which one is it? Are all hands the wrong hands, or the right and wrong hands? Is there both? Or are all hands wrong hands? I think it could be either. But I think in a lot of ways, most of the hands are wrong now. Mostly 100%. Not saying that with ego or pride, but a lot of hands are wrong. And it's mostly because people sustain themselves by saying they are creatures of habit. But what is their habit? I mean, that's what you really got to ask yourself. Is your habit to keep on living your life off of instant gratification and just accepting that method of life, which may be the truth, I don't deny that. That's a lot of people's truth right there. A lot of people live off that and say that instant gratification makes their life. I think it's pretty simple to do that. To live with sex and options, anything else you want. It is. It's not that difficult. And it's what makes living pretty easy for a lot of people. Because all you do is just keep on doing the same thing. You don't just look at everybody and start getting upset. You just sort of accept what you have in your life, and you don't just try to objectify anything, because right there you'll be subjectified. That's the thing that really is upsetting to a lot of people, is that when they're subjected to judgment and criticism, when they start thinking, oh no, it's the old slavery story. When the slaves ran away, all the other slaves felt betrayed. The same story here. You have an open mind and child eyes? God damn, why are you doing that for? Sorry. But the good part is I always have. So, if you felt betrayed a long time ago. When you first met me, you felt betrayed. So you should have accepted that, because it was real. Yep, no lie there. And I think that's the thing about it. Like, a lot of people think they could change people. I don't think you can. I think that's the biggest joke and the hugest floss over of not wanting to accept somebody for who they are. I don't have any logic or reason. I'm just here. That's all I am. If I matter, then I matter. If I don't matter, I don't matter. But it can happen in any term, Whether I'm going to get huge success or whether nothing's going to happen in my life, there you go. Because I don't think in those terms. If neither of them happen, then I don't know what's going to happen. It's all glossed over in a lot of ways, because, there's so many people who think there's the right and wrong hands, And so because of that, it makes it easy for people to criticize anything now. Very easy. And it's actually very easy to see past the propaganda of one thing and say another one's propaganda. And say, no, that's not propaganda, only this is. Like saying that Alex Jones is propaganda, but Fox 11 News is not. No, it's the same thing. They're exactly the same thing. And I'm not saying that Alex Jones has done a lot of research on his time, and I don't rely on him for much. I rely on the fact that there's a source out there outside of the mainstream, and that's good to see. Not saying I agree, not saying I disagree, but to show that somebody actually cares enough to shout and scream shows a lot more than anybody else. Just saying. That to me, emotional outbursts, they can show a lot of criticizing. They can definitely show that. But at the same time, they can actually show how much passion you have too. That's a big truth right there. And I think a lot of people would be upset. I mean, just look at the world. How many people have gone for revenge and bullying in their lifetime? Why wouldn't they be upset that somebody is actually going for their passion? It's the old idea of what my brother said, if you make people happy, you're doing something wrong. If you make people upset, you're doing something right. Because you're showing them that there is something else they can do. They just didn't choose to do it. The problem is choice, but the problem is you made the wrong choice. The problem is you didn't go with love. You chose to create a hate. Because that's what you do when you have hate. You just create hate. That's what you do with hate. Love is already there. You don't even need to create it. But hate, you just create it. And you start achieving victorious things for your lifetime. And that's it. And you only help the damage in the society, in the world. Whether it was cavemen or now, you're just helping to destroy it more. You're not helping anything else. Your hate can't make anybody else feel better in the future. That's why it's so easy to do it. You got your wrong hands out, and you're shutting everybody else's mouth. And I don't rebel or comply. I just live my life. Though the ability to label either of those when others don't get their way in your life is astronomical. Woo! My God, it's so true. I love it, rebel and comply. Hey, you're just rebelling. You're just, why don't you comply? that kind of stuff. I mean, it's so easy to do. I've seen it on both ends of the spectrum, where a person in the family can say, all you're doing is rebelling, when I'm actually trying to explain to them and sitting there with them, or saying that I'm just agreeing with somebody else who has rebelled against them before. I would say, and then I say, well, if I honestly am just rebelling, why would I waste the time to sit here with you? Jean-Pierre already said everything, or somebody else in this family has already said something, or somebody else in this friendship has already said something. Why would I waste the time to sit here and talk to you if that wasn't true? It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean I'm right. But it means that we have to talk about it. If you want to ignore it, you can ignore it. But you honestly don't ignore anything else I do. That's why I'm bringing it up. Because if you ignored everything else I do, I wouldn't be talking to you. I would say, oh, I understand. We're different people, and I have to accept that. I already did. I can't do much else to accept it more. I honestly can't. As a friendship I've had, or any relationship I've had, I can't do much else to accept that. Already have. Did it a long time ago. Doesn't take too much to do that. Honestly, for me it doesn't. I understand for a lot of other people it does. But if you have to label me and bully me down to get your answer across, it's just the same reason why, people think my friendship's ended because of other people in my life. The judgment, disapproval of family, friends, such and such. Nah. It was you. It was you believing that it affected me that much, if it happened that way. Because it didn't. You have to want to be here. And you have to want to accept what you've already accepted, really. And that's what I think a lot of people don't do. They start looking at things a little differently. Well, if you truly are looking at things differently, you should have looked at it differently a long time ago, because I was there. I was there that whole time, and I wasn't lying. I wasn't lying, and I wasn't trying to get across or anything. I wasn't trying to force you in the position of me. But you can't pull me out of something by saying that I'm wrong. Because all you're saying is that I don't want you all along. Whether that's true or not may not be true. But for you to debase the value of this based on that shows that you really have, all you have to do is just call me a rebel, or call me somebody who complies. Sometimes both. Because sometimes that's what happens, I think I've fallen into all three of those, where I've been a rebel, where I've been complying, where I've been rebelling and complying at the same time. But I haven't done that for a long time, honestly, I think it's the worst thing to do. Just do something you do. Do something you feel. If somebody else is going to call you a rebel for it, they will, They're going to feel that way. And I think it's very easy to do that. I think it's very harsh to deal with the reality of certain things, even one-sided feelings. With me, one-sided feelings, I've had them so much. You can't hurt me if I hang out with you and you're with somebody, for example, and I'm not doing anything, and I just have those feelings. So what? If it's one-sided, I felt it already. I felt that it was one-sided, so that means I'm okay with that. It means I'm not going to force myself on you like, I've seen in movies or shows or some other bullshit like that. That's entertainment. This is life. I don't make entertainment life. I make life entertainment. But it can't mean much unless the entertainment has value before it's made into entertainment. It has to have love, feelings, sensitivities on both sides. It has to be directed, energy-wise. The mind sex and real sex. Can't have just one. You can't have recognition of only one fact of a relationship and the appearance makes it so. That's for the people who have jealousy. That's for them. Totally understandable. Me, on the other hand, no thanks. Don't need jealousy, because I want to put my energy into the relationship. I want to put my energy into something else that's not a part of the relationship. The insurgents won't matter. Because as long as you don't see them as important or valued in the way of a relationship, and you could keep that good distance from them in the way you need to, we got it. Piece of cake, baby. Piece of cake. But a lot of people can do that, though. They can make astronomical decisions to call you a rebel because they want to ignore what you have to say. A lot of people do that. They live in a so-called mind state where they supposedly can concentrate on one thing. And once you start actually concentrating and showing them what you concentrated on and telling them what you're concentrating on, they go to something else right away. They go into another, right again, like they're on one side of the planet and they go on the other side of the planet. Right when you're showing the concentration that you need to with something, they ignore it. No thanks, Marcello. I don't need to listen to that part. Then you don't need to listen to the first part even. I don't need to talk. I don't need to talk. If I need to be right, I'll just say it. I'm right. I wouldn't waste the time to have a conversation and then say at the end of it I'm right. It means that I actually want to talk to you and tell you how I feel. How I feel about that. I think a lot of people think feelings are, if you have feelings towards something, it means you're trying to be right about something. No, I'm sorry if I have feelings. It doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I have feelings. I'm sorry if I'm a human. Apologies all around. Everybody, apologies for actually having a reaction to what you say. Very apologetic about that. I don't get jealous. I don't terrorize people and hurt them with my outbursts and abusive, because I'm not abusive. So that clearly has an abject thought to try to say that, oh, well, this guy's just trying to be right. Sorry if I have emotions. But I'm not going to change that. I don't apologize for it. Not in that way. I apologize that it affects you so much, but I don't apologize for having it. It's an effect that is human. If you don't have emotions, congratulations. You've turned into a robot, then I wouldn't want to talk to you anyway. It means your answers will be very robotic. And I think that's what really happens here. It's just... okay. It's just like saying young and dumb is a conclusion to do what you want when young, without consequences. So, like, old and smart because the opposite does not happen always, Like right now in me, I am left an emotionally full pump. Mostly because people want to do what they want and not spend time with me. So they don't want to do that. That last part. They don't want to spend time with me. They want to do what they want. Now, of course, you never heard about me on TV. You never heard about me this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way. No. Even when you're in front of me, you don't want to be with me. Don't want to spend the time. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Your philosophy is your philosophy. I'm not trying to give you mine. I'm trying to tell you mine, not give you it. Only thing, I wouldn't give you anything. I get too attached, baby. No thank you. Get too attached. No thanks. I think I'll go summer. I'm just kidding. But that's the whole thing. Why would I waste the time to do something to try to make you think my way? Here I am, an aged man. I'm just kidding. But why would I waste the time? It's just like with somebody at work recently who told me, if you don't get somebody by 30, you're probably not going to get anybody. Good. I don't want to get anybody. Then, if they don't want to be with me when I'm 30, then they obviously don't want to be with me. If they're going to think about it by an age, they don't want to be with me when I'm old. I'm not looking for a phase. I'm looking for somebody to be with to old age. So why would I want to be with somebody who wouldn't want to be with me if I'm 30 or older? That's stupid. Because I'm not looking for somebody to be with for a phase. I'm looking for somebody to be with to old age. And that takes a while. Because not many people want to sit there with a smile with the same person for the rest of their life. Mostly because they've been spun around so much by the hindrance of trust that society has been busted on. Through Jerry Springer, Maury, and any other silly story that you heard from your hunky-dory friends that you say you believe in. When in reality they're just victims of their own tragic demise. They're the ones who put that stuff in their lives. I'm not saying every single time. I'm just saying it's not worth a dime if you allow it all the time. And it isn't. It isn't worth a dime if you allow it all the time. If that person needs a relationship first, I would understand that. Then you have to be patient. You have to help your friend and be patient. That's the beginning, so you understand it. And I think that's where we have to end. A lot of people like to be young and dumb. And that's congratulations. And the living fulcrum of your life will have a conclusion that you want. Or not at all. And I don't know where to end there, because right now, in me, like I said, I'm left an emotionally full pump. And all I see around me is people who get drunk. Which is fine. I'm not contrasting what I am to them. Because I'm not. I'm not even contrasting myself above or below or anything separate soul or something. I'm here with them. But it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't mean anything. You know? It doesn't. You know, it truly doesn't. I can't find my value if you can't find yours. So I continue on this road. I'll probably say more about this next time, so I want to conclude with what I have so far. Just say I love you guys, you know. Take care, guys and gals. Everybody else out loud. Take care. Love. End it all.